welcome back to Susan Dawn at Spiritual Connections. Welcome to a brand new Sacred Union Energy Update. It is going to be a traditional Sacred Union Energy Update. We did have the special Reunion of Souls reading, which was really in-depth, really phenomenal. We looked at the whole of our collective experience, our collective connection with our twin flames, past, present, and potential future, based on the energies of where we were, where we are now, and where we're potentially going. So make sure that you're checking that out. I'll put the link in the description box. The reason why I want to do that specific special reading and channeling is because it does feel like we are undergoing a massive reset, going back to the beginning. That beginning can look like your counterpart that is coming back in a new energy to match your energy. Are you seeing the orbs? To match your energy, your new energy, your embodied empowerment, your sacred feminine energy. So you're calling it in, that sacred masculine. He is rising to the sacred masculine. So this could be the counterpart that you were activated to your journey with, or it could be a new sacred partner, somebody that you haven't met yet. If you are on this journey and you haven't met a sacred partner yet. So take it as it resonates with you. You're at the stage in your journey where you know your story, you know what is true for you. It comes down to what is felt within the heart. Not what it seems within your physical experience and circumstances, not what it seems with the logical mind, but we're really at a point in our journeys where we're tuning into the heart and following the heart, letting that guide us, taking action on it, because we're in union with both our masculine and our feminine energies. And in that union, we learn to trust our intuition, trust that inner guidance and that inner knowing. And we also learn how to follow through in the action of it, go where we're guided. That's the masculine within us that is trusting the navigation of the feminine, the leadership of the feminine, but it's your leadership in the physical that is also guiding you. So that's your inner union where you're going where you're guided. And going where you're guided is going to take you to some pretty unexpected and incredible places in your life, in your connection. But are you trusting it? That's going to be the key. Are you trusting it? And when you are really in alignment with yourself, then the answer is a resounding yes. So I wanted to do that special reading because I wanted to just kind of recap our journey, our collective journey thus far, where we were in the past, who we were, what our connection was, what we were holding, what we were transforming, where we are now, what we're embodying, what we're learning, how we're growing and evolving, and potentially where we're going into sacred partnership and conscious relationship. The reason I'm doing this like this today is because I received a lot of downloads and messages that I wanted to explore before we get into the reading. So we are going to do our traditional reading, looking at the masculine and the feminine energies and the union space. But I do want to talk about some of these downloads that I was given. First, I'll say this first. Where you are, it does feel like a beginning. It does feel like a reset. It does feel like a rebirth. And if you watched my collective message yesterday, I was out in the woods and I was really feeling the intensity of this rebirth energy, where it felt like I was in the liminal space, and it feels like I'm in that bow and arrow, like I'm the bow that's drawn back, and I can feel the anticipation. Everything's in my field. Everything's right there. I can feel that quantum leap. I can feel that change. I can feel that shift. And it's all coming from within me. I know it's because I'm evolving, I'm changing. And so I'm not seeing anything in the physical yet, not just with my counterpart, but in life in general. I'm not necessarily seeing much in the physical, but I can feel that shift. I can feel that change. And so there had been a little bit of frustration with that, because when you're in that bow and arrow and it's pulled back, you can feel that tension, right? It's tension. And that's when you get when you release, when you accept, when you let go, that's when everything starts to move again. That's when the arrow gets let go and you are kind of propelled. And that's where it feels like we are. For me, I felt that shift last night. I've been doing a lot of inner work. And so I felt that shift last night, where I just really accepted my receivership. I stepped into my receivership and just said, okay, I'm just going to be. There's nothing more for me to do, because I kept asking myself, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? I kept saying, what do I need to do? And I kept receiving, just be. Okay, but how do I do that? That's so uncomfortable for me. How do I do that? But that's part of me anchoring into my own divine feminine and allowing myself just to receive, that I don't have to push or seek or do. That's the old patterns. That's the old conditioning. That's the old program, right? That's the old ways of doing things. If you're a divine feminine, you don't have to do or force or push. Just allow yourself to be. That does not mean being passive. It means taking action when you're guided, but not forcing that. And so I really, last night is when everything shifted, everything clicked from the intellectual to feeling embodied, anchoring that in and integrating it. And it's going to continue. That is a process that continues. It's funny because I just kept saying, what do I do though? What do I do? And it's just be. It's about presence, the power of presence. It's about remembrance. It's not about doing anything different. It's just about remembering who you are at the core. Remembering. It's remembrance. So we might have been feeling that pressure, and it feels like that pressure has begun to really shift. And we will be seeing more movement forward. That could be in connection, that could be in money, finances, career, business, other relationships, whatever that is, whatever it felt like you were kind of in a pressure cooker with, it's because you have continued to blossom. You've continued to evolve. You're continuing to evolve into that embodied version of yourself and upgrade. You've been going through upgrades, and it feels like we've been going through these upgrades since, my God, it has been a very hard winter, a very difficult winter. And March and April energy was really assisting with those shifts, and I feel like we're on the other side of that now. So hang in there. uh, just allow yourself to be. Don't be in resistance of yourself. Don't be in resistance of where you're called. Keep following the voice of your soul. Keep following your intuition, your knowing, your heart. um, there is movement that is happening, and you might be getting little signs, synchronicities. um, when it comes to your connection, you might be seeing your counterpart out and about. You might be communicating with them or having meetings with them, meetups with them, I should say. Or you might just be running into them. If not, you might be seeing them or thinking that you're seeing them. There might be somebody out walking that looks exactly like them, and you might do a double take. You might be questioning yourself, and it might be because your brain is just kind of um, anchored into the connection, not in the obsessive way that you had been in the past. Let me be clear, this is not the same energy of the past. You're in a what I call the higher heart ascension. You're in a different version of yourself, in a different energy. But there is movement within the connection you're where you might be seeing the connection, or I'm sorry, you might be seeing your person, and it's activating something within you. You might be seeing their name, you might be seeing, and so you're thinking it's them. You might be seeing somebody that you think is them, and so it's activating something within you. Or you might actually be seeing their physical person and running into them. So take it as it resonates for you. Everybody's going to be a little bit different, um, but it's the activation. So whether you're actually running into them physically, you're actually in communication, you're actually seeing their name, their birth date, communication with friends or family or whatever. Um, or if you think that you're seeing them, all of it is an activation. And it's an activation that is showing you that there is an underlying energy that is moving within the connection, even if you can't see it in the physical. Okay, so let me know how that's resonating for you guys. Let me know what you might be experiencing in your journeys and in your connections. Okay, so that was one thing. I'm kind of going backwards from what I had written down. So the other thing is a music download I got was If I Could Turn Back Time. I think the original artist is Cher, but the version that I was listening to was Luke Evans. Um, and If I Could Turn Back Time. And that was really resonating and hitting home when I was tuned into the lyrics of it. And it was like it was highlighted for me. It feels like, again, this energy of time keeps coming through. Like it's like we're going back to the beginning, but it's not the beginning because you're not the same person. Again, that parable of you can't step into the same river twice because it's not the same river and you're not the same person. The river is always flowing and you're always growing, you're always evolving. And so it's like we're going full circle. We're coming back to the beginning, but with that new level of consciousness, that new level of awareness. You're bringing new energy to the connection. If the connection is being revisited, if the connection is being revived, if there's a reunion, reconciliation, you're bringing new energy to it. And your counterpart needs to rise to that and bring new energy to it too, to match your energy. And so that's where you have that union. That's where you have that um, sustainable union, that conscious connection, because now you have both gone through your journeys. You've both leveled up and shifted in consciousness, shifted in your self identity, shifted in who you are to become more of who you are, to be able to sustain that conscious connection, sustain that union. And so there is this energy of a little bit of regret, a little bit of remorse for how you had to go through your journey. If I could turn back time, I would do things differently. But that's from this new level of awareness. And so we always say you have to have compassion for where you were. You have to forgive the version of you that was unconscious. You didn't know what you didn't know at the beginning of your journey. It was a journey. You were activated to this journey. There was a journey for a purpose. It was for this evolution, for this growth, for this shift in consciousness. So you might have that regret, but forgive yourself for that past. Forgive your partner, forgive the journey, forgive the universe. Have compassion and forgiveness for what you didn't know at the time, and bring it back to this present moment. Anchor into this present moment. Everything is in this present moment. Peace is in this present moment. And bring it back to this present moment. Now that you're conscious, you can do things differently. You can shift patterns, you can communicate differently. That's going to be the superpower. That's going to be the point of reconciliation. That's going to be the turning point. So I'll have a couple of different videos to reference that we have talked more about this if you're new to the channel, or if you just want to review if you haven't watched those videos. For reunion and reconciliation, I'll have some more videos in the description box for that. But that's what this feels like. This feels like a new beginning, a reset point. And what are you going to do with that reset point? Continue in the old patterns, hold on to that old version, or are you going to forgive the unconscious version of yourself and recognize that yes, you have changed, you have grown, and so from this point forward, it is your energy that is going to inform the connection, this new energy, this new conscious energy that's going to form the connection, what we call a conscious relationship now. Because you were not in your conscious state, or at least you were at a conscious level that you were. I mean, you might have been at one level of consciousness, but your journey has brought you to a new level of consciousness, and that's what the journey was for. That's what it was for. So forgive yourself, forgive the past, forgive the journey, and bring it back to here and now. I'm gonna again go backwards here. Pride and Prejudice came through for me. And a specific quote: Pride and Prejudice is 100% a twin flame story, 100%. Whether it's the Jane Austen version, any adaptation, or my favorite, the 2005 version, it is 1000% a twin flame story. The quote that I got was, "If your feelings are still what they were last April, tell me so at once. My affections and wishes are unchanged, but one word from you will silence me on the subject forever." And what I was getting from that was, again, this reset energy. And so it feels like the soul knows of this love. The soul knows what this connection is. It's whether or not you're ready for it, whether or not you can hold it, whether or not you both have grown to be able to sustain that union now, to be able to hold the connection and the love that is therein. And so that's what this feels like. It feels like almost like a full circle moment that is having you reevaluate and consider reunion and reconciliation. And it almost feels like that's the choice point. And we were talking about that with the twin flame turning point energy reading, where it is a choice point, it is a turning point where both counterparts have to choose. And essentially, you're choosing love. which is what you're choosing. And so for some, there might be some closure. For some, there might be a new beginning. It just depends on where you are. And again, don't let that trigger you. If it does trigger you, do some of that inner work and see what is coming up. Why is it coming up? What it is still hooking into you. And if you want to work one-on-one with me with that, I do have one-on-one coaching sessions to help transform that, to help clear that energy. But look at what might be coming up. You know your story, you know your connection, you know what you feel as a truth in your soul, and you know the energy that you're embodying. You know the energy that you're embodying. So whatever the scenario, however it unfolds, you know that you're in the energy of love. You have love to give, you have love to be able to receive. You know that you're in the energy of union. And so regardless of what that looks like in the physical, you know that union is for you. You know that union is part of you. You know that union is something that is to be had and experienced in your physical life too. And so regardless of how that looks like or who that looks like with, you know that that union energy is meant for you. And so trust your inner knowing, trust what you have always felt, what you are tuned into, trust yourself. Okay? Make sure I'm always going to harp on this. Make sure that you are trusting yourself and that you're tuned into yourself and your inner knowing and your intuition. Okay? That's going to be the most important thing. So it feels like some sort of full circle moments. It feels like a reset, like a new beginning. And it just feels really peaceful. It feels very peaceful. The last thing that I got, which is actually the first thing, was I was guided to watch the movie Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. It came out in 2004, and I've watched it over the years. It's a great movie. I've watched it over the years, but not anytime recently. So the reason I was called to it was interesting. I wasn't quite sure why, because this does not feel like a twin flame story, at least not the twin flame journey that we know. They're very toxic to each other, they're very much in their distorted energies, but this is very much a soul connection that they have. This is a soul recognition that they have. As I was watching it, I was very much aware that this is like the red thread of fate. The red thread of fate, the red string of fate, as some might know it, is that across space and time, you're always drawn back to the soul that you love. And that is a soul connection. That is, the crux of a soul connection is you recognize each other. Whether you call it twin flame or soulmate, it's that soul recognition, that soul love. And so, if you haven't seen the movie or heard about the movie, it is the story of Joel and Clementine, played by Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet. And they have a very up and down, tumultuous relationship. And as they break up, Clementine undergoes a procedure to forget Joel. And so he's heartbroken, and in his heartbreak, he decides to do the same. And then halfway through, he decides, no, 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 wait, I don't want this. I actually don't want to forget you. And without spoiling it, it's a phenomenal movie. You just have to watch it. Um, they meet again. They're drawn back to each other. There's a beautiful phrase that just made me burst into tears. Meet me in Montauk, and that phrase feels like it is echoed for twin flames and soulmates everywhere. Meet me in the next lifetime. Meet me in the next lifetime. Across space and time, I will never forget you, because the soul never forgets. So they met again, not remembering each other, not having those memories, but they had that soul recognition, and they had that essentially second chance. So this feels like a meet me in Montauk moment, where you're having a new beginning, you're having a second chance. It's a really, gosh, it was just a powerful realization, a powerful moment for me watching that reflection of this is exactly where we are. We're in Montauk. Meet me in Montauk. Meet me on the other side of your ascension. Meet me on the other side of that dark night. Meet me on the other side of your growth, your evolution. Meet me on this other side of love. Meet me there. Meet me in the heart. Because we'll remember each other. Across space and time, we will always remember each other. We will always recognize each other. The soul never forgets. So, gosh, I just can't express how beautiful that is. The soul never forgets. You've never forgotten each other. And so that's where it feels like we are literally back to the beginning. So what I'm going to do is I changed my mind. I'm not going to do a traditional reading, but what I am going to do is I am going to pull a card for the masculine, the feminine, and the union energies, just to see where we are. And I'm going to be taking care of a family member who's having surgery. So if you do say prayers, if you could just say a quick prayer for one of my family members. So I don't know if I'll be back this week, but I just want to have something. I'm going to use this deck, yes. I just want to have something just to kind of see where we are right now. There's a lot of energy that's integrating. There's a lot that is shifting. So let's just kind of see where we are right now. What's going on for the Divine Masculine? What's going on for the Divine Masculine? Let's just pull one card and see. I might get some tarot. We are going to do things a little bit different today. We'll be back doing it regularly very soon. What do we need to know for the masculine? The never-ending story. I'm getting two messages from this. I'm feeling like the devil energy. And what that devil energy feels like repeating over and over and over. You see how it feels like they might be in a little bit of anguish here. Patterns repeating over and over and over, consciousness loops repeating over and over and over. But this feels like where they had been trapped in that never-ending story that they were creating for themselves. This is who I am. Nothing's ever going to change. This is the job I'm in. This is a relationship I'm in. I can't break free. Like that kind of energy. What this feels like is the devil in reverse. It feels like breaking free from that attachment, breaking free from that fear, breaking free from that codependency, breaking free from that old version of themselves, whatever that is that was keeping them trapped, breaking themselves free so that that never-ending story is not repeating. That consciousness loop is no longer repeating. This is their own rebirth that the Divine Masculine has been going through. The other message that I'm getting is much more light-filled and love-filled, because what I feel from this is they are recognizing, yeah, you have a heart there, and that heart is pointing to love, basically, is what they're saying. It's pointing to love. And you have like yes, no, maybe, like all sorts of, what does it say? Yes, no, yes, love, me, yes, no. But it's this yes energy. It's like, yes, I get to make that choice, and my soul is pointing to yes. The soul never forgets. And so your story with your twin flame counterpart, sacred partner, however you choose to define it, your connection has been a never-ending story across space and time. Across space and time. Meet me in the next life. We couldn't get together then, but we can get it together now. Meet me in the next life is what you had said lifetimes ago. Meet me in Montauk is what you had said lifetimes ago. We will recognize each other. And you did. You did. That is when you were activated to this ascension journey. You recognized each other, not from a physical standpoint, but from the heart, from a soul connection. The eyes have always been the window. That is how you recognized each other in that energy of love. That's where it felt like time stopped when you were with each other. That's where it felt like harmony flowed and forgiveness was always there. That's where it felt like you always came back to that love, because that is who you are. Not all the triggers, not all the toxic elements that might have come up in between you, but who you are at the core is love, and you always recognize that. And so that has been the never-ending story. You might have created your own never-ending story in your head from the ego, repeating patterns, repeating loops, repeating stories that your mind was making up, but the truth comes from the soul. And I feel like this masculine is becoming very aware of that, recognizing you, Divine Feminine. They're recognizing you as their love story, recognizing that it has always been you. Recognizing it has always been you. Wow. I'm also getting pointed to the numbers. 3 and the 7 boils down to a 10. The 10 is a powerful number because it's both an ending and a beginning. And that's literally what this feels like. It feels like an ending and a beginning. And here is where you're at that choice point. What is being chosen? What is it that you're going to choose? You're going to choose the ending of the old that allows for a new beginning, a new version of yourself, a new beginning in this connection, new beginning in love, or you're going to repeat the old cycles. So I feel like that's kind of in the in-between state that we might still be in. Let's just get a card here and see if we can get a little bit more on this energy here for the masculine. Tell me a little bit more about the masculine. Tell me a little bit more about the masculine, please. Yeah, we have the Eight of Pentacles. So I feel like with this Eight of Pentacles, you look at how he is watering. He's watering those sunflowers. And there's something very beautiful about sunflowers. And I learned this, I don't know when I learned this. It wasn't too recent, but when there's a storm, two sunflowers will turn their heads towards each other for like comfort. And when the sun is out, then they will kind of turn their heads towards the sun instead. But how beautiful is that? That when it's stormy, you don't deny each other. You don't go your separate ways. You don't avoid each other. When the storm is out, you turn towards each other and say, hey, let's support each other. Let's nurture each other. You know, I nourish you, you nourish me, and together we grow. That is divine connection, where you're supporting each other. You're both able to hold each other. And a relationship, a true relationship, is never going to be 50-50 all the time. Sometimes there's going to be someone who needs a little bit more. And sometimes that person is going to need to receive. So you're always going to be passing back and forth that support. But that is where the equilibrium comes in, where you're able to both hold each other when time calls for it. That is what a conscious connection is. It's being able to support and nourish each other. And with this Eight of Pentacles, I feel like this person is wanting to water the connection. And I'm also hearing wanting to water the growth that they have undergone. Their own evolution, their own soul growth, their own enlightenment is a word that I'm getting, but it's really more of a development, a understanding of themselves, of the connection. Even they're wanting to water that. They're wanting to nourish this now because they've put so much effort into maybe healing themselves, growing, developing themselves. And remember, the masculine does this very differently than the feminine. The masculine will often do it through more physical means. The feminine will do things through maybe energy healing, meditation, energy shifting, self-concept work, that kind of stuff. The masculine will do things through more physical means, maybe studies or therapy or groups or even their own experiences, playing things out in their own experiences and learning from those experiences. So whatever effort they've put in, they're wanting to nourish this and make that grow. And I feel like this is really aligned with the connection, wanting to put in the work and the effort for the connection too, having the capacity to do so now because of their growth, because of that work that they've undergone. Yeah. And Nine of Pentacles, okay, this is kind of funny what I'm getting. The Nine of Pentacles, this feels like you, divine feminine, like you're over here, you've been growing your own garden, very self-sufficient, but that doesn't mean that you don't need your counterpart or that you don't want your counterpart. Just because you're independent, that's what a beautiful conscious connection is, where there are two interdependent beings coming together to flourish and amplify the love, amplify the connection that you have, support each other, not in a codependent way, but in a beautiful interdependent way. Again, when the storm comes, you support each other. You are there for each other. You love each other more deeply, more fiercely, uplift each other. And when the sun is out, you know, that's when you thrive. That's when you thrive in your independence. That's where you thrive in your uniqueness. That's where you thrive in who you are. That's the beauty of an interdependent conscious connection. And so this feels like you, and I feel like they're seeing you in your light. They're seeing you in this empowerment, in this embodiment. And with the bottom of the deck, we had the Six of Swords here, and it's almost like, yeah, I'm catching up, is what the Divine Masculine is saying. I'm catching up. I want to travel with you. I want that peace. I want that calm. I want that connection. I want to travel with you. I'm ready to travel with you. It's like I'm ready to do what it takes. It's beautiful, beautiful energy. Anything else for the Divine Masculine? Anything else for the Divine Masculine? The King of Swords. Oh, and I like that it's the King of Swords. I've talked about the King of Swords before, where the King of Swords can be kind of cold, stoic, withdrawn in their emotions, very icy in their emotions, hold everything close to their chest, really sheltered. This King of Swords feels like a leader. This King of Swords feels like he has gained a lot of wisdom about himself, maybe even about the connection. He is acknowledging himself in all, in the all. I'm hearing responsibility, accountability, hearing the word flaw. So recognizing where he was flawed, but that doesn't mean a weakness. That doesn't mean a weakness. It means something to be looked at, something to be worked on, something to be to grow, to expand, to evolve. So rather than looking at a flaw as a weakness, looking at that, flipping the script on that and saying, okay, well, if that's my flaw, that's my weakness, what is my strength? And how can I honor my strengths instead? So this feels like with the hawk there, is it a hawk? Gaining a lot of wisdom, gaining a lot of perspective here, and wanting to show up now, wanting to lead, and even communicate is another phrase I'm getting, but wanting to lead in a very different way. It's a very beautiful energy for the Divine Masculine. There's a lot that is shifting, a lot that is changing. Yeah, because they're gaining that strength within themselves. Strength and awareness. Strength, awareness, and courage are three phrases that I'm getting. So, yeah, taming the ego is a phrase that I had always gotten for the strength card. And that's what it feels like, taming the ego to find and nurture that courage, that strength, um, that new way of being. A very strong energy here, really beautiful. What's going on for the Divine Feminine now? What's going on for the Divine Feminine? We have All That Glitters. TikTok came out. I wasn't going to take it, but again, it feels like just this. I don't want to call it divine timing. I will call it a divine unfolding. There is movement that is happening. If you're feeling impatient, like, okay, where is it? Where's my manifestations? Where's this shift that I'm feeling? Where's this movement? I'm not seeing anything. This is a call now to have patience because it's coming. Now, what this traditionally feels like, this card is not all that glitters is gold. And what I'm getting here is deeply clarify what it is that you want. Deeply clarify the energy that you're in, because that is going to shape what comes in. That is going to shape the energy going forward. So make sure that it's coming from this version of you and not an old version of you. You're allowed to shift what you want. You're allowed to shift your dreams. You're allowed to shift in your not necessarily values. Yes, values, I guess you could say, but it's in your desires. You're allowed to shift. And so make sure that it's coming from this version, this embodied version of yourself, this authentic version of yourself versus an old version of yourself. And that's not to say that that old version of yourself was not authentic. It was just an old version of yourself, a more unconscious version of yourself. Now that you're anchored in, now that you know yourself, you're connected to yourself, just make sure that what you're manifesting and what you want is clear and continues to be true. Make sure it's coming from the higher self now, because you're anchored into the higher self. All right, what do we need to know for the Divine Feminine? That's way too many. What do we need to know for the Divine Feminine? Six of Cups. We got this in, was it the Reunion of Souls reading or the last Sacred Union Energy update? I can't remember, but we did pick up this energy in the union space where this really does feel like reunion, nostalgia. But look at how they're holding each other, comfort and peace. That is what sacred partnership is and always should be to you. It should be a place of safety. It should be a place of comfort and peace. We are so used to pain. We're so used to chaos that we tend to think that that's what relationship is, and it's not. And that's what your journey has taken you through, recognizing that love is peace. We just might resist that because we're not used to that. We might not have been used to that in our past relationships, in our upbringing, in looking at relationships in society. We're so used to suffering and pain and toxicity and thinking that that's normal, that when true love comes in, unconditional love comes in, when peace comes in, it kind of disrupts our nervous system because our nervous system is conditioned to prepare for chaos. This is pure peace. And this is what the next level of your union is about. It is about peace. That's not to say that there won't be adventure. That's not to say that there won't be spontaneity and fun and juicy, delicious, loving times. That's not to say that at all. Love is adventure itself, but it's coming from a place of safety and peace now, not the chaos and not the toxicity. You're anchored in more fully. This is beautiful. It's not just nostalgic. This is reunion energy. And you might have that feeling of nostalgia. There might be a lot of memories that are coming up for you, beautiful memories that are coming up for you, Divine Feminine, because that is the love that you've always been attuned to, especially in this connection. That is the sacred love you've always been attuned to. And so you might be remembering that to prepare for this union, rather than any of the pain that you've unhooked from, that you've forgiven, that you've let go of in that old version of yourself and your journey. Tell me more about the Divine Feminine. The Moon and the Death card. The energy that I'm getting from this with the Moon card is expect the unexpected, expect unexpected transformation, and it almost feels like expect unexpected transformation within your life and within this connection, but within your life as a whole. And it could be the connection coming into your life, but expect the unexpected. I feel like you're not meant to see how this plays out, and that might bring up some fears. Again, it might trigger some uncertainty, because the ego likes to know what's coming. The ego likes certainty. The ego likes patterns. The ego is all about pattern recognition, right? It's all about safety. It's all about security. It's all about survival. And so the ego likes to know, okay, we recognize this. This is safe. We don't recognize this. Mayday, mayday, right? And so the ego likes to know what's ahead. This is about trusting the unknown. This is about facing those fears, confronting whatever needs to be confronted, all those triggers, and anchoring back into that peace within. This is part of your own transformation, and this is how your connection is going to transform, by trusting in the unknown and facing any fears that do come up. All right, I'm going to see if there's anything else there, but I'm not feeling it. I did see the Wheel of Fortune card, and I feel like with this energy here, it is a divine alignment. It is unfolding, and so that is what you can trust. It might be unexpected. It might be unknown right now. There is something that's transforming. You might not know exactly what that looks like or what that is, but that's where you have to anchor into yourself and trust in yourself and trust in the universe. And trusting the universe is trusting in yourself. What do we need to know? What else do we need to know for the Divine Feminine, the High Priestess? Yeah, trust in yourself. You've got this. You have got this, Divine Feminine. This is what your journey has brought you to embody this High Priestess energy. You are the High Priestess in your life. You can trust your inner knowing. You are the Divine Feminine. You can trust your inner knowing now. You can trust yourself. You don't have to look outside of yourself for evidence. You don't have to look outside of yourself for the data, for the proof. You don't have to look outside of yourself for your counterpart. You can find everything within yourself, and that is literally how you create in your external world. You can trust what you're intuiting. Okay. What do we need to know for the union? What do we need to know for the union energies, please? Regeneration. Regeneration. This is that new beginning. This is that reset energy, and it's a very fiery energy too. We've been channeling a lot about fire lately, that holy fire, that sacred flame energy. Really, I encourage you guys to check out the previous readings, even if it's not directly about twin flames or sacred partners. In the description, the energy will still hold those templates, because we are on the sacred union path of ascension. And so whether we're channeling twin flames or sacred union or ascension, it is all part of the whole, so we put it into that context. And so we've been talking a lot about sacred flame, holy fire, that kind of energy. That's this rejuvenating energy, this regeneration energy, that's this reset energy. There is something new that is being reborn here, because you have been reborn, and this union is being reborn. Your connection is being reborn. And there's a lot of this fire energy that is not only moving it forward, but is creating a purifying energy, burning away anything that is of the old, anything that is of the past. Any old energy is being released so that the new can be anchored in. And it is anchoring in. I feel like this rebirth has already happened, and we're just in the process of integrating it now. And you can see that by the picture here. You see how there are actual leaves on the tree? The tree is rejuvenating itself, regenerating itself. It's being reborn. It's a new blossoming. I talked about that in when I was at the lake too, in that on the threshold of rebirth channeling, where the trees teach us how to let go of the old. The trees teach us every season how to release the old so that the new can come through. And that's exactly what's happening here. We have released an old season of life, of our journey, and now we're entering into the new. What else do we need to know? What's on the bottom of the deck? The yin, the feminine energy. What else do we need to know for the union energies? Yep, that's the devil. Yeah, see? This is what's being released. You're no longer in that old energy. You're no longer holding on to that old template, that old paradigm of relationship, that old paradigm of connection, of the twin flame journey. You're not holding on to old versions of yourself, old attachments, old fears, old programs and conditions. You're releasing that. You're releasing that completely. What else? What else do we need to know? The antithesis, what I'm getting, the antithesis of the devil card is the lovers. And the lovers is a card of choice. It's about choosing love. And the more that you choose love, the more that you release this energy too. The Four of Cups, there's a new offering here. In the past, we would channel that your focus is so much, and this is a union spot, so this is a union energy, so both of you've been so focused on the past energy, you can't see the blessing that's been coming in. And now I feel like that blessing is being recognized, number one, being offered again. That's the reset. We're coming back full circle, coming back to the beginning, where you have a second chance in this higher level of consciousness to choose again, to lead from the heart versus from the ego, from the pain, from the fear, to release those old programs. So it's being offered again, but it's being acknowledged now. And that might be part of the choice too, to turn away from the past and what's empty, what's no longer, and choose what fulfills you. But I feel like the choice is being made, or is already made. You're choosing love. You're choosing love. What else do we need to know? I like this card, the Two of Pentacles. This feels very much like the Fool card. This feels very much, I know it's the Two of Pentacles, which is like I'm juggling. I don't know which way to go. I'm juggling two realities, but this feels like the choice is made. It feels like the Fool. It's so bright. It's so sunny. It's so optimistic. And I feel like the only choice is now, how do you approach it? Or I should say, what action do you take? That is what feels like you're juggling. It's like the choice has already been made in your mind. So now what action do I want to take? How do I want to go there? How do I want to move forward? That kind of thing. That's what this feels like. This feels like the choice is already made. And it's just about taking that leap of faith towards it. That's what this feels like. It's beautiful. And the Knight of Cups. Knight of Cups at the bottom of the deck. Beautiful. All right, we're going to end there. Yeah, the soul recognizes the choice. You've already made that choice. Your soul has already made that choice. It's just the ego needs to catch up. The ego needs to integrate the energy so that you're quiet in the ego. You're not listening to the ego. You're listening to the soul now. It's beautiful, beautiful energy. The soul never forgets. The soul never forgets. Meet me in Montauk. God, that was such a powerful... Watching that movie was such a powerful revelation of across space and time. You're always connected, no matter what, no matter how it unfolds. Across space and time, life and death, lifetimes, You're always connected because it is love. It is a soul recognition. And that's what union is. And you're remembering that you are and always have been in union, because the soul never forgets love, and you never forget each other. All right. We'll be back sometime soon with a more traditional Sacred Union energy update. Let me know where you guys are on your journey, in your experiences, in your connections. Let me know what you're going through and how this is resonating for you. I am sending you all so much love, so much light, and we'll see you next time. Bye.